Hello there and welcome to another episode of your most watched business show in the country. This is the Business Weekly Show here on Citi TV, and my name is Michael Obodu, your host. In the next 60 minutes, I'll be bringing you updates from the world of business, including issues on the debt exchange program, stories on the business side of Valentine, and a couple of others. Talk about resilience, and the Pensioner Bondholders Forum readily comes to mind. After massing up at the Finance Ministry for days while courting public support for their exemption from the government's debt exchange program, these pensioners were finally able to get exactly what they wanted. The Finance Minister, in his appearance in Parliament, stated emphatically that they had been exempted from the government's debt exchange program, and I'm sure they are pretty thrilled and relieved to hear this.
For 8 working days, pensioner bondholders who self-exempted from government's domestic debt exchange program picketed at the office of the Finance Ministry to demand for an issuer's exemption. They took their lobbying, they took their protest to higher authority, including the Speaker of Parliament. This resulted in the Minister of Finance being invited to the House to answer some questions pertaining to the domestic debt exchange program. Today, February 16, the Minister came into Parliament, and before the Minister spoke, I caught up with the convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, Dr. Edu Anane Entry, who had come to Parliament to listen to the Minister. I asked him what his expectations were as they eagerly awaited for the Minister's arrival.
We told the Minister we will come today to support him to grant us the exemption, and that's why we are here. Our basic request and what we are expecting is for the Minister to put in whatever statement he is going to give, to include in that statement that pensioner bondholders have been exempted. Yesterday, he said he was going to discuss with the President. As to what they will say, I don't know. But once it comes out that from the statement that pensioners have been exempted, or even all individual bondholders are exempted, we are fine, and then we stop the picketing.
What if you don't hear this statement made on the floor of Parliament today, even after consultations with the President?
Well, that will mean the President didn't agree. And therefore, if we are picketing, we'll be picketing against the President's decision not to exempt us. We'll continue to picket. But I don't think the President will say we shouldn't be exempted and that we will continue to go and pick it. The President will not do that. I don't think the President will do that. So I'm hopeful that if the Minister was going to discuss with the President, the result will be a positive response from the President that you can't allow these pensioners to continue to picket at the Ministry, exempt them. It will not affect anybody, not anybody at all. No child, no adult, no institution. Nobody will be affected when you just say pensioners have been exempted. So we don't see why the challenge.
Would that mean that you'd move the picketing grounds away from the Finance Ministry closer to the President?
Well, if it comes to that point, and of course, if they haven't declared the place as a security zone, we'll go there if it comes. But I don't think it will come to that.
Our parliamentary correspondent, Ni Ayukwe Okai, was in the chamber and followed proceedings for us.
The Business Committee of Parliament invited the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to appear before the House upon a directive by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin-Ant. On Thursday, February 16, 2023, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, was in Parliament to provide a policy brief on the government's domestic debt exchange program. He announced that he has officially written to the pensioner bondholders of their exemption from the domestic debt exchange program.
Mr. Speaker, government remains committed to the well-being and dignity of our senior citizens and pensioners. Indeed, it has personally, Mr. Speaker, caused me great distress as a number of our pensioners have picketed at the premises of the Ministry of Finance since Monday, February 6, 2023. I have already indicated in my press release, Mr. Speaker, dated 14th February 2023, the government will honor their coupons, payments, and maturing principles, like all government bonds, in line with government's fiscal commitments. Mr. Speaker, in seeking to understand the concerns of our senior citizens, I have met with them on 3 occasions. The most recent was yesterday, 15 February 2022, where I explained the terms of the new bonds. Mr. Speaker, I subsequently wrote to their convener, letting him know, Mr. Speaker, that all pensioners who did not participate in the bond offering are exempted. Mr. Speaker, I pray that puts paid to the need for our senior citizens to picket at the ministry. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank all those who helped in those discussions for this.
The minister expressed hope in stability of the interest, inflation, as well as the exchange rate following the conclusion of the domestic debt exchange program.
I'm confident that with the program government has set out for this year, supported by Parliament, will get us out of the economic crisis that has besieged our economy since COVID-19 reached our shores back in March 2020. I am confident that with the conclusion of the domestic debt exchange program, we will experience stability in the exchange rates, inflation, and interest rate, bringing businesses and families some respite. Mr. Speaker, with the successful completion of the DDEP, we believe that with the sustained support of Ghanaians and this august House, we will recover from this economic crisis sooner rather than later, as indicated by His Excellency President Akufo-Addo.
Ken Ofori-Atta also announced that the domestic debt exchange program will put an end to the central bank's financing of the government's budget going forward.
Mr. Speaker, as already stated in the House in November, we did lose access to the international capital markets at the beginning of 2022. At the same time, budget implementation was confronted with domestic financing challenges from the auctions, as well as lower than estimated domestic revenue mobilization. This presented a very challenging macroeconomic environment during 2022, leading to a widened financing gap of the budget, and therefore became necessary for the Bank of Ghana to fund shortfalls at the auction market to avoid disorderly default and prevent a deeper crisis. Mr. Speaker, it was necessary for the government to seek financing from the Bank of Ghana to augment its fiscal operations for the year. The Bank of Ghana last week concluded work on its financial accounts for 2022 and reports that the total overdraft extended to government for 2022 was 37.9 billion. Mr. Speaker, in line of Section 30 Clause 6 of the Bank of Ghana Act 2022, Axis 1-2, I'm using this platform to inform the legislature of the financing of the budget by the Bank of Ghana. The domestic debt exchange exercise and the external debt restructuring program will make such financing unnecessary going forward in 2023 and beyond.
After all was said and done, the pensioners were pretty appreciative of the government for finally heeding their request. They met with the finance minister later to thank him for the gesture. I'm sure now they can focus on their retirement and living their normal lives without all the heightened anxiety that came with the likely restructuring of the bonds payments and due dates.
All that they were asking for, to be exempted just as pension funds has been exempted. That is all the struggle. Whether exemption means this or means that is not their matter. They want to be exempted as pension funds has been exempted. And after 5 weeks of struggling, the minister has now given in and the exemption has been granted.
What does it mean for the culture of protest, the fact that you have done this peacefully and finally been able to achieve your aim, what does this mean for the culture of protest and our democracy at large?
Well, that is a good sign that our elderly have shown that you can. They didn't have any strength. As weak as they were able to do this for 8 days, picketing at the place for 8 days, peacefully. Nobody insulted anybody. You don't throw anything at anybody, but you get your results. The challenge that we have here is how our young ones, face such situations. So now it is it's something that the elderly ones have done, and the young ones, you learn from it. That if you don't agree to a policy, you can demonstrate, but it should be peaceful, not clashing with police, not burning cars, not burning ties, pushing people away. No, that shouldn't be the case. We can protest, but protest peacefully. If people who do not even have the strength, as weak as these elderly people were, they were able to go through this protestation by going to sit somewhere quietly, not disturbing anybody, not doing anything to disturb the peace, and they have achieved this result, then we could continue like that without engaging in violence to protest against policies. So that is something that I want the young ones to learn that you can protest, but not violent. You can do your peaceful protest and you still get the results.
There must be a reason why the government was able to make such a move by exempting these pensioner bondholders. The Ministry of Finance had announced that approximately 85% of bondholders participated in the domestic debt exchange program. The amount is close to 83 billion Ghana cedis. The result is a significant achievement for the government to implement fully the economic strategies in the post-COVID-19 program for economic growth in the current economic crisis.
Government says the domestic debt exchange program officially closed on Friday, February 10, 2023, with over 80% participation of eligible bonds. In a statement issued on Tuesday, the Ministry of Finance thanked Ghanaians for their forbearance and support throughout these difficult times. It also assured bondholders who did not sign up for the program that it would honor its financial obligations to them. The program, according to government, was largely successful due to significant participation by institutional bondholders in the offer, like the major banks, insurance firms and securities industry players. The program is part of requirements for Ghana to secure an IMF bailout of about $3 billion from the IMF. But some watchers of the space have raised doubts over government's claim. It will be recalled that during the launch of the DDEP in December 2022, Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta said holders of domestic instruments were being invited to voluntarily exchange approximately 137 billion Ghana cedis of domestic notes and bonds for a package of new bonds to be issued. The amount was subsequently reduced to 130 billion Ghana cedis. However, in a statement to confirm the official closing of the exchange program, the Finance Ministry revealed that it has successfully swapped almost 83 billion Ghana cedis worth of old bonds. For economist Theophilus Echampong, this is worrying. According to him, the method deployed by government to arrive at the almost 85% participation rate is questionable since the initial domestic bond was pegged at 137 billion Ghana cedis. Already some analysts say per their calculations, the new rate should be between 60 and 65%. Theophilus Echampong has been speaking to Citi Business News on reasons for his position.
If you go back to the statements that the government issued subsequent to the last press release from yesterday, the government has been seeking to exchange a total of 137 billion cedis of eligible bonds. And these eligible bonds have all been captured in a number of key documents, including the amended and the restated exchange memorandums to the tune of 137 billion. Now the government says that, well, okay, we said 137 billion, but in fact the number should be 97 billion. Why? Because they have made two important changes to adjustments to it. One, from the press release yesterday, that there were some eligible bonds that were held by persons that are not eligible holders and therefore should not participate in the debt exchange. But then he also says, number two, that some of the amounts held by persons following the announcement of the exchange have been converted into treasury bills. And this is what has led to the reduction of the figure from 137 billion to the 97. But the government doesn't really provide any more detail as to the breakdown of these two categories of deductions. And that is a little bit worrying because all along the mandate and what had been communicated to the market was that we're seeking to restructure 137 billion.
Let's now turn to some positive stories. Data from the Ghana Statistical Service has shown that inflation has marginally dropped for the first time in 19 months. Figures released by the GSS revealed that for the month of January 2023, inflation dropped to 53.6% from the 54.1% recorded in December 2022. There has been some explanations for this development in the country.
The Consumer Price Index measures the changes in the price of a fixed basket of goods and services that households in Ghana consume. The said basket, which contains food and non-food items, help in appreciating the average price levels in the country. For the first time after 19 months, the inflation rate for January 2023 has dropped marginally to 53.6% from the 54.1% as recorded in December 2022. Speaking at a press conference, the government statistician Professor Samuel Enim highlighted the impact that food and non-food drivers had on the drop in the overall inflation rate for the first month of 2023.
We recorded 54.1% for December 2022, and in January we are recording 53.6%. So what is accounting for the marginal drop of 0.5 percentage points between December 2022 and January 2023? A careful scrutiny at the disaggregation gives us some inkling in terms of what is leading to that. We will recall that from a food perspective, we saw an increase from 59.7% to 61.0%. And from a non-food perspective, we saw a decline of about 2 percentage points on a year-on-year basis between December 2022 and January 2023. So the first pointer is in terms of what is driving the marginal dip is more from a non-food perspective rather than a food perspective, because from a food perspective, as I indicated, there was a marginal increase of 1.3 percentage points, whereas from a non-food perspective, we saw a 2.0 percentage point drop. The second pointer should be the difference between locally produced items and imported items, comparing December 2022 and January 2023. In December 2022, we saw a slightly much bigger variation between imported items and locally produced items. Although what we are seeing in January is still significant, 12.5 percentage points, the 12.5 percentage point difference is marginally lower than the margin that we saw in December 2022.
He also added that the marginal drop of the inflation rate could partly be attributed to the relative stability of the cedi in the latter part of the previous year.
So from another perspective, one might argue that the marginal drop is from the imported perspective. This only partly suggests that the stability that we saw in the exchange rate might have had some impact on the rates that we are recording in January 2023. But we are yet to do any rigorous analysis to firmly say that this is the extent to which the stability in the exchange rate contributed to the marginal drop of 0.5%.
It's not just inflation that has experienced a decline. Fuel prices also dropped slightly during the week. The price of petrol at some pumps dropped by about 75 pesos per litre, One would wonder what led to this decline. Energy analysts have attributed it to the appreciation of the local currency and the decline in the price of petrol and diesel on the world market. But then we know of the government's introduction of the good for oil policy to help with the high cost of fuel in the country. So at what point then we will begin to experience the impact of this intervention at the pumps?
The Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited, BOST, is confident that consumers of petroleum products will begin to feel the impact of the good for oil policy at the pumps by the end of the month. The initiative is part of the government's efforts at addressing the challenge of the high cost of fuel in the country. But since the receipt of the first consignment of fuel under the program in January this year, prices on the markets are yet to drop significantly. The Institute of Energy Security, IES, recently announced that fuel prices could go down soon in the second pricing window of February. However, was quick to add that this was due to other parameters other than the good for oil intervention. But speaking to Citi Business News, Managing Director of BOST, Edwin Provençal, was optimistic that as the country takes delivery of more fuel products under the policy, Ghanaians should begin to see prices drop in March.
We are seeing it today.
No. Today they are not seeing me. This morning on my way, I didn't see it.
We are seeing it today, but I can bet you that by end of February, the prices will be extremely competitive and Ghanaians will be happy. By end of March, you would see more.
How low should we expect it to go?
MPA will decide that because MPA owns the price, not BOST. Mm-hmm. But at least we know what we are bringing as compared to what in the past we're getting from the suppliers.
And it will be cheaper.
It's extremely competitive.
So it will reflect at the pumps?
It will definitely reflect at the pump. The whole idea is that we need to alleviate the suffering of our people. And that's what this is intended to do, nothing else.
Meanwhile, the BOST MD also debunked claims that the good for oil products were being sold to a sole bulk oil distribution company.
Respectfully, it's an untruth. I have the data here. Go Energy. Why Go Energy? This program, who has the biggest outlets in Ghana? It's GOIL. And who delivers, which BDC sells fuel to GOIL? Is Go Energy. Go Energy is a subsidiary of GOIL. So if the market is challenged or there is a market failure and you want to correct the market failure, you need to come in with a corrective measure. So if you want to bring prices down, and you have an OMC like GOIL that has 435 stations, and you have another OMC that has 10 stations. As the regulator or as the policy maker, who would you use to drive the price down? Is it the one that has the 10 stations or the one that has the 435 stations?
So that's the idea.
That's the whole idea, is to drive prices down. Now, GOIL, Go Energy, they are also, everybody follows their price. The whole market follows their price. So if you want to send a signal on pricing, logically, who should you use? Go Energy.
We turn now to electricity, and the Ghana Grid Company, GridCo, has stated that the debt owed by the various power distribution companies and other entities running into billions of cedis are negatively affecting its operations. The Northern Electricity Distribution Company and the Volta River Authority paid GridCo over 6 billion Ghana cedis for using electricity between 2017 and 2021. This is quite concerning.
According to a 2019 Auditor General's report, the Ghana Grid Company Limited, GridCo, is being owed a total debt of 230 million Ghana cedis. The Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, owes GridCo over 1 million cedis, while the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO's debt stood at 63 million Ghana cedis. The Power Authority owes over 4 million cedis, and other debtors include the Volta Aluminium Company Limited, which owes over 15 million cedis. It will be recalled that in 2019, staff of GridCo embarked on a demonstration to demand over 250 million Ghana cedi debts owed it. At a media engagement today, the Chief Executive Officer of Gridco, Ebenezer Kofi Esienyi, lamented that these huge debts still remain unpaid, and this is hampering the company's operations.
The debt impact on our operations, I wouldn't want to deceive anybody. It is an issue. That is the reason why government makes a conscious effort to find some resources for us to do the investment that we require. It all with the understanding that, hey, this legacy debt may have to be addressed in a strategic way over time. We have bulk of compensation that we need to pay for people that's given us their land for us to use. Then also, if I had the resources, I would have bulldozed all my lines. Clearly, when you do that, it gives you like 2 or 3 years. Much of disturbances that we have is because there is some tree under the line, you've loaded a little to the line has come down a little more. It is not touching the ground. And normally it doesn't touch the object. It is the distance as you close it up. Then the fire that is silently working on it will find a path to the ground. If I had all the resources, but we are managing it. We are managing within the limited resources that we have.
The Gridco boss also explained how the operations of illegal miners is negatively impacting their operations.
Galamsey, I don't know whether the gold has started to normally form around the base of our towers. It's becoming a problem for us where Galamseyers consciously dig under our lines. There are challenges where we needed to go and relocate the tower at an additional cost. The one that is there was working so well, but you can see that the line guys will come and tell us that tower is collapsing because, or some of the steel members have been removed by the Galamseyers, because I understand they use it to do whatever in their tunnels. I've never been to any of the tunnels, so I don't know how they do it, but that's what I understand. These are things that we need to let our brothers and sisters appreciate, that this infrastructure are there for our collective good and we need to protect them. Occasionally, as a power system, we normally have some challenges. Normally, when you see the lines, you don't see the fire on them, but they are extremely dangerous.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. Citi TV, it's your world.
So how was February 14th for you this year? We know globally the day is set aside to express love annually. Valentine's Day or Chocolate Day, depending on where you stand, is characterized by gift sharing, especially chocolates and hampers. But it appears gift shops are struggling to cash in as they lament low sales. Many have attributed this to the hike in the price of chocolates, but stakeholders in the chocolate industry are urging consumers to buy more chocolates despite the cost.
As a move to boost the consumption of chocolate and cocoa-based products, the National Chocolate Day celebration was founded in 2005 to coincide with Valentine's Day, which falls on the 14th of February every year. This is to boost domestic tourism and give a healthy orientation to the celebration of Valentine's Day in Ghana, in collaboration with Cocoa Processing Company, Ghana Cocoa Board, and cocoa producing companies. Monday is the eve of the National Chocolate Day. The expectation is there will be bumper sales. Speaking to Citi News, the Chief Executive Officer of Janelle Gift Shop, Gifty Nelson, attributed the current economic crisis in the country to the low patronage of chocolates and hampers.
At the moment, we haven't seen them, but we have a lot of chocolate and soft drinks and a lot of hampers. They haven't patronized yet.
So let's look at the price range. How much is it?
There's the Gouda is 70 cedis, and the Maltesers is 40 cedis, and which one? Kingsburg it's 160. Where we don't have the single bars, we have in boxes.
Okay. And then the hampers, what are the price ranges?
200, 300, 460, and 370, and 750.
Oh, okay. And people haven't bought the hampers as well?
They haven't started yet. We haven't seen anybody here right now.
Okay. So you are hopeful they would come?
Definitely. I know that around about between 12 and 1 they will be in.
It's a bit slow, but we're hoping since today is the eve of the Valentine. So hopefully, sometimes people want to buy and keep. People don't want to keep it for a long time. So hopefully by midday to tomorrow, we are expecting them to come.
Head of Public Affairs at Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, explained that the increase in the cost of chocolates is due to a general price hike in goods in the country.
Tomorrow, for example, what we're doing is that we are going to selected farming communities where we have farmer cooperatives. We'll be sharing chocolate products with them. We have different places we are also going, especially schools, where we'll also give out chocolate products as a way of introducing these persons to chocolate products, because there are quite a number of them who have not had a taste of it. And we believe that when they do have the taste of it and also realize the health and the nutritional benefit therein, they will surely go in for it. So basically, this is what is happening. It's possible we want people to buy chocolate. But one question I usually ask myself is that when people complain of farm produce price increasing, the other side we don't look at it is that when the price stays low, farmer also loses. But it is not to justify that the prices are supposed to go high. It is the price of chocolate seeing an increase is not an isolated case. Generally, prices of goods in our country have seen an upward increase. So that upward change has also affected chocolate products. So it is not an isolated case of having garden chocolate seeing an upward. So that I do not think that you can say, oh, it's because of that people are not buying. They are after all buying other products that has also seen a change in price. So this cannot be an excuse. Let me, however, say that a lot of people, when they are comparing prices of chocolates, they compare it with other food that they buy from town. The chocolate is a treat, it is also a food, and it also has nutritional benefit you derive. So if you spend, for example, 7 cedis to buy a chocolate, you cannot have a full tummy like you buy a ball of kinky and fish. Other products which will also even cost you more, which probably if you buy the chocolate, it will cost you less.
He urged Ghanaians to patronize locally produced chocolates. Meanwhile, some Ghanaians tell Citi News they are looking forward to celebrating the season of love with their loved ones.
Tomorrow is not really a wild day for me, but then I'll get a gift for myself, and I'm not expecting a gift from anyone.
Why don't you have a loved one?
I have, but then it will be weird to get something from them, so I'll get for myself.
What's weird? Why is it weird?
Getting a gift literally leads to something else.
As a single guy, I really don't have anything in mind. But you see, Valentine is a special day to show love to people who are dear to you. It can be your mom, a friend, your dad, or whoever. So now that I don't have a girlfriend, I think tomorrow a friend invited me out, so I'm looking forward to that.
Meanwhile, as Ghana celebrates Chocolate Day, stakeholders in the cocoa processing sector are calling on the government to do more to promote the local consumption of the product in the country. Players in the industry said they hope initiatives will be taken to make consuming chocolate and cocoa products in the country the norm rather than just a day-long celebration. Marketing team lead for chocolate manufacturer Fair Freak, Ishmael Quay, called on the government to use its various agencies to promote this agenda. He spoke to the media on the sideline of a donation of chocolates to the Jowulu Special School in Accra in collaboration with the Ghana Tourism Authority.
We believe that at the end of the day, it's going to at least give everyone the opportunity to eat chocolate. And this is what we stand for. We want to promote the consumption of chocolate. We want to promote the health benefits of chocolate. We want to make chocolate consumption a lifestyle in Ghana. So how do we do this? These are some of the reasons why. And the one thing that drives us is that give to those who you cannot expect anything in return. And that's what we've been doing. This isn't the only program we've sponsored. We've sponsored their health walk, which is the Ghana Tourism Authority health walk for National Chocolate Week celebration. Aside from that, we have also mounted our stand at the event that is ongoing today at the National Chocolate City, close to Tetekwashi, in Accra. So we're also doing our best to support and also promote the consumption of chocolate. Hopefully, the government also puts in effort through the NCCE to create the awareness about the consumption of chocolate and its health benefits. And we hope that by so doing, it's going to make chocolate a lifestyle in Ghana.
Still on a celebration of love and chocolates, did you hear about the nation's courier service Ghana Post announcement of a discount on all of its services from February 14th till the end of the month? For those who weren't able to share gifts with their loved ones, you still have an opportunity to do so at discounted delivery fees.
As part of efforts to upscale the delivery of its courier services, Ghana Post last year announced Vows on Wheels. This came to light when, after 100 days in office, the new managing director, Bice Osei-Kufuor, announced a fleet of vehicles that will make their delivery service more efficient. Outlining its plans for this month of love, the nation's courier service announced a discount on all its services until the end of February. A number of celebrities, including John Dumelo, Calibos, Prince David Osei, and Bismarck the Joke, have been named ambassadors for this project. Addressing the press, the managing director of Ghana Post, Bice Osei-Kufuor, threw more light on the initiative.
Vows on Wheels is a program that Ghana Post launched last year. It's a period that we use to spread love. We call it spreading love or carrying love to its destination. Now, during this period, Ghana Post we give massive discounts on all our products and our services. So, for instance, currently from today that the promotion is rolling, you can get deliveries in Accra. You can pick and drop from anywhere within Accra for just 30 Ghana cedis. Ghana Post will pick up and drop off at any destination that you have a loved one that must receive a package. Apart from that, if you are in Kumasi or the greater Kumasi city, you can also pick up and drop off for just 20 Ghana cedis. This is also being replicated across the regional capitals. Now for the campuses, if you are in, let's say you are in Kwame Nkrumah University and you are sending a package to another person in Kwame Nkrumah University, it's just 10 Ghana cedis within the campuses. This is one addition that we have made to the Vows on Wheels promotion. Another thing that we've added to it that is making it even nicer this year is this year we've added the celebrity deliveries to our packages. So you see with me Mr. Prince David Osei, who is an actor, renowned actor. There's John Dumelo, renowned actor. There's Matilda Asare, Dr. Laiki, Bismarck the Joke, Calibos, DKB, Ochame Kwame, several other celebrities who have volunteered their month of February to join Ghana Post in making deliveries to loved ones.
Meanwhile, some key personalities and other well-meaning individuals have urged the institutions to employ the services of Ghana Post when it comes to speedy and secure delivery.
Exciting to see the new breath of fresh air that your leadership has brought to Ghana Post, and to see the kind of rise in business that you are bringing there. And I think we can only congratulate you. We here at the Ministry of Information are excited to do business with you, always to invite you to do our deliveries. Yeah, you're right. Last year we did a lot of deliveries, of chocolates. And this year we continue to do deliveries of other items as part of our work. And I continue to encourage institutions, public and private, to have you as their number one courier and other delivery partner.
If we help them by giving them business, they will grow to employ more people, pay more salaries to their employees. The earnings are spent here. It will help grow the economy. They would also pay dividends to government and tax revenue as well to finance our development. That's the only way to grow our economy. We can't continue to depend on aid with others, but we need to trade locally amongst ourselves, grow our own local companies, help them to get more market share locally and beyond our shores.
Certainly acknowledge Ghana Post as one of my partners in here. But thank you very much for...
We'll be doing the deliveries for today.
Thank you very much for the love. And I'm sure from here we'll try and see how best we can also have a say and some support with Ghana Post. I thought Ghana Post was dead, but ever since they appointed you aboard as the man in charge, I know that Ghana Post will go places.
But the fact that we present ourselves the way we do itself is an acknowledgement of the fact that we are part of society. So very importantly, we need to adopt all the essential societal values, most importantly, empathy. That will enable us to appreciate one another and understand one another, and therefore to be able to love one another.
The sky cannot even be the limit. We wish you well. When you came to me in the spirit of cooperation and partnership and insisted and reiterated that you were looking for an opportunity to do business with the NLA, we were in the hands of the private sector. But I said that this partnership and cooperation would demand that we help one another. And I'm happy that the NLA's partnership with you has yielded results.
Can you imagine not being able to celebrate Valentine's Day with chocolates in the coming years? But this isn't too far from the reality, because stakeholders fear sustained production of cocoa would be severely threatened in a few years to come if drastic measures are not taken to address the issue of illegal mining and illegal chainsaw operation in cocoa growing areas. Cocoa officers in the Western North region of Ghana, where such activities are common, say if the practices are not kept, continuous production of the crop would not be guaranteed.
Cocoa has for decades remained an integral part of the country's exports, with Ghana being the second leading producer of cocoa in the world after neighboring Cote d'Ivoire. Stakeholders are, however, worried that some activities, if not checked, could erode all the gains made in the cocoa sector. Further to this, the country could lose its status as a leading producer, a situation that will negatively impact the nation's finances. Key among such operations are illegal mining and activities of illegal chainsaw operators. One of the areas where these activities are common is the Bodi district of the Western North region. The district cocoa officer, Maswada Apia, has been speaking to Citi Business News on the worrying issue.
Illegal chainsaw operators. They are one of the, I would say, those destroying our farms. Since there are various or different species that they are even cutting for their their clients. Sometimes they engage with the farmers. The farmers will not even allow them to remove their trees. But in the absence of the farmers, let's say maybe the farmer has traveled or it's not there, they will enter into such farms and remove it. Whilst we are creating awareness that we should plant more trees to protect our lands or to provide shade for our cocoa trees, that one should be dealt with. But we should collaborate with the forest guards and the forest commission so that their operations will go down to where our farms are isolated, so that the chainsaw operators will not even enter to do that distractions. Apart from that, galamsey is also a threat to our cocoa farms. You see, these miners, sometimes I don't know whether they engage with the chiefs or they don't.
He has thus called for a concerted effort by the government and relevant stakeholders to clamp down the operations of illegal chainsaw operators and illegal miners.
If you want to prevent them from entering, then all the stakeholders, even the community, before those people will get there, the community people must report them or do something about that so that they will not go and destroy our lands. Such, let's say, the chemicals that they are using to do the washing, such chemicals are affecting our soils, our water bodies, and even the food crops on those areas. So what we have to do is that we must all come on board. We must all come on board and let's fight against galamsey. If not, I don't know what will happen in our future, because we are all doing this thing to raise, an income or to boost our economy. So if these people are saying that they don't care, even those in the community, they don't care, and they will sit for the miners and these chainsaw operators to enter into our farms or to enter into our forest to do such works, then it means our future, we can't predict what will happen.
Now to the Bunu region, because Ghanaian business owners there have been urged to embrace the African Continental Free Trade Area AFTA program to take advantage of the benefits the initiative offers. Senior Advisor Capacity Building and Stakeholder Engagement at the AFTA Secretariat, Jacob Jemfi Edu, gave the advice in Sunyani during the Bunu regional launch of the conference on the implementation of the AFTA program.
The launch and the conference of the Bunu regional version of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement was to empower stakeholders and give insight into the program. The program was attended by stakeholders in the poultry, cashew and the manufacturing industries from the Bunu region. The Senior Advisor Capacity Building and Stakeholder Engagement at the African Continental Free Trade Area, Jacob Jemfi Edu, speaking on the sidelines of the program, outlined some of the measures put in place by the government to ensure the initiative becomes successful. He urged business owners in the Bunu region to embrace the program.
Well, the basic message is here is an opportunity for you to begin to think about expanding your business in terms of a market that is potentially very large in terms of the number of people, in terms of money that can be made. But the first step is for you to be aware of the opportunities that are happening and the things that government is doing to support businesses to take advantage of it. So the basic message I give to participants is ask yourself, how can I benefit from this? And what do I need to do to benefit? And from there, we have different organizations and different people that we work with to support you to bring yourself up. The most important thing is how do you position yourself to benefit from this big opportunity that we are talking about.
The Bunu Regional Minister, Justin Owusu Banahine, on her part outlined how important the gender sensitive of the AFTA is.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me especially mention that I am proud to know that the AFTA policy framework is gender sensitive. It articulates plans to build border posts that provide safe spaces for women in a bid to curb issues of gender-based harassment at Ghana border posts.
The youth have also been admonished to take advantage of what the AFTA offers.
We are currently organizing a market expedition to Kenya. We will be doing that somewhere in May. And it will surprise you that most of the people we consider to take along are women and youth. So we are encouraging the youth to know that after its implementation is all to us. We are the future leaders and we should take advantage of it.
From the Bunu region, we turn now to the central region, and one of the foods the region is known for is fantikenke. And it appears there remain some challenges with its production. Dealers of the popular Yamransa Fanti Kinki want support from the government to expand their businesses. The Fanti Kinki sellers say the cost of producing the popular delicacy has become high as a result of price hikes on the market, hence the need for government support.
Traveling on the Accra-Cape Coast stretch, one can notice particularly women along the Yamransa section of the highway selling the popular Fanti Kinki on the stretch. Mostly covered in blue polythene bags, users of the road mostly patronize the Kinki. But one community that has taken it upon itself to be producing majority of the Kinki is Yamransa, a community along the highway in the central region. The Kinki is usually enjoyed with fish, while some also mash them into liquid form and consume. This is also one of the most lucrative business for women who live in this area. According to some of them, this business has become a generational business they inherited from their parents. However, persons who engage in this business say the Fanti Kinki business is on the brink of collapse as a result of the current economic crisis, which has resulted in an increase in basic ingredients such as maize used in the production of the Kinki. Quite apart from these challenges, they also lament the dangers involved in selling by the roadside and say on several occasions they have tried reaching out to authorities for space, but all to no avail. Here are some Fanti Kinki sellers speaking to Citi News about their challenges and how they want support from the central government to enlarge their business.
$9 million so all 5 Citi, no 4 Citi. I'm also many kakra. No be all your wage man so muchana cow. I'm a many be a channel cow no so when your horse in other bear dog man as a mam de best crown. What about open up wedding? No, the thing had tap. And see your slab brand there. Oh, yes, canon farmer here. Yan fancy here, Manunia far ton, your found your dog no 1 yeppy. A banya who about your monto. Dog crying Yamransa. You dry young man, some could say dog was a baby.
Since I know how can they be no buy a dim, Chebby Macafa no they be free here. Say, I ain't to pay Huska, until be cafe no be free here. Nay, I say, all the cafe if you ought to be what to do. And some will shall be a bepeck cry, the bush home bent to, not also, my but now, or Boston, no sort of bun, no compared to Queen when ye, and so what boy hack a cry, a Joaka for on Bomuka, the buffer deny.
The Aba or Yamahena, you know about the window. Oba Brahins, Kayadash, Juman, Majuman. Why a fine? I'm a hen. Says you cannot buy into me because in the Bruno Beers in Pa. A broker to go 8 million. Into the memory I realize why is Ness and Kitty Sika, you could tell Bruna had Tony Bia. Obian wasn't in the Mabeflu.
For these women who deal in Fanti Kinki, support from government or benevolent organization will go a long way to enlarge their business. Some of them shared their thoughts on the subject matter.
Yes, Rabande, so Baba boy, and I'll be Sabinaja. Say, I did Fabro, no, you're about to drink a cacra. No, I your damn mobilca fat, no deep free ham, and here she aye. Mrs. Homerhan cacra. Naja, here she are from near the eye, Juman.
Finally, if you had any doubts about the sale of Vodafone Ghana to Telecel Group, this next story will clear it all up for you because the Attorney General has given clearance for the transaction after scrutinizing documents relating to the deal. This development is the final lap to complete the transfer of shares to be approved by the board of the company. With this concluded, insiders at Vodafone say the board will likely sit next week to approve the transaction.
The Finance Ministry had earlier written to the Attorney General with a request for a review of all relevant transaction documents on the transfer of 70% majority shares in Ghana Telecommunications Company Limited held by Vodafone International Holdings BV to Telecel Group with a view to carrying out a due diligence for the transaction and providing legal advice. Commenting on the details of the transactions after the review, the Attorney General indicated that the documents provided met all the conditions per Section 98 of the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, Regulations 34 of the Regulations and Articles 14 and 15 of the Shareholders Agreement. In a letter cited by Citi Business News from the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice to the Minister of Finance on the deal, the AG advised that, quote, the transaction may proceed, end quote. Last year, Vodafone Ghana applied to the National Communications Authority to transfer 70% of its majority shares to Telecel, but this did not pull through after it failed to meet regulatory requirements. The authority earlier this year gave clearance, but added that it was conditional on both sides making concessions and was issued in response to the assessment of the Telecel Group's revised proposal. But since news broke about the deal, there has been uneasy calm amongst the staff of Vodafone over their job security. But speaking in an exclusive interview with Citi Business News, managing partner at Telecel Group, Nicholas Borg, stated that there was no cause for concern.
Well, that will be all for today's edition of the Business Weekly Show here on Citi TV, your most watched business show in the country. For more business stories, please visit our website, citibusinessnews.com. My name is Michael Obodu. Thank you for tuning in. Let's connect on Twitter at @mobodu. Catch you same time next week. Stay safe, stay informed. Bye-bye.